Let me get some order for you, please. Please take your seats, members. We're saying goodbye to another member. If you'd return to the chamber and please take your seat. Mr. Senator, if you guys take your seats, Mr. Hill may want to talk about you during his speech too. Members, please take your seats. Mr. Gagnon is recognized for the introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce my desk mate. We met in 2012. It was my first year running for office, and Jonathon had a group of folks come together, and he invited me up to Anderson. It was the first time we'd met. It was an interesting meeting and insightful. Jonathon's from Townville, and we've had several from his district. We've had some folks that were quite interesting. We've had Becky Martin. Some of y'all might remember Becky Martin from being up there. And of course, his immediate predecessor, Don Bowen. How many remember Don Bowen up here on the House floor? Don was an interesting character. And then we had Jonathon come in, and he won, and he's been here for 8 years. And I'm trying to think of terms over the last few days to describe Jonathon. And I came up with, he's a quiet man, keeps his own counsel, never bothers anyone, and keeps to himself. But then I remembered that was the description of the serial murderer I saw on TV last week. So I'm not going to use those terms for Jonathon. But I will say this, that among Jonathon's qualities, good qualities, he does have a good sense of humor. And he does put up with a lot of my jabbering over there at the seat as I unfortunately distract him from his duties as a legislator. And it is kind of funny. So we do kind of hit that off with a little different type of sense of humor. Jonathon also is a person who always likes to experiment. And one day he actually tried to get a bunch of papers to fly. But he forgot that you're supposed to fold them in the shape of an airplane to make them go further. So that was his one thing. So that was okay. You got to do that first, Jonathon, before you do that. But seriously, I kind of envy Jonathon because he does have a nice, deep baritone voice, which is very, very nice, as opposed to my squeaky French voice that I'm accused of having all the time. But he also has a keen mind, and I've always appreciated him for that. And he can also show a dapper side. And as you can see, he's dressed quite dapperly, I guess you would say. But occasionally he does have faux pas with that. And some of his jackets kind of look like they came from the Pee Wee Herman collection. But is that appropriate? Okay. No, but seriously, we're going to miss Jonathon here, and we look forward to his future and what it holds. But I have heard some rumors as to what's going to happen once Jonathon leaves the State House. I did hear a rumor, and I don't know if it's true, Jonathon, but you were going to move to Fort Mill and open up a used car dealership and call it Honest John's Autos. But is that true, Jonathon? Is that no, nothing like that? Okay, so that rumor's been busted. Okay, but anyway, without any further ado, and here's my desk mate, who is, in the words of Winston Churchill, he's a mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma. How about that? And this is Jonathon Hill. Here's Johnny.
Let's hear Johnny. Here's Johnny. Mr. Hill is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to say farewell to all of you. I understand that this speech has been highly anticipated. I'm not sure if all of you are feeling anxious about it or if you're feeling eager about it, but either way, I thought originally I was scheduled to do this yesterday, and I talked to Patrick, and Patrick was like, well, I don't know. Mr. Simmerl's going today, and he seemed to be concerned about that, like, I don't know, like you'd be concerned about putting matter and antimatter together in the same place. But you know, through the years, we all grow and change. One of those ways that I've changed is I definitely talk a lot less than I did in my first term or two or three. Jay's saying three. I don't know where Speaker Lucas is, but your dear friend used to sit right back here in the back, the late Jimmy Bales, and he had a little something to do with that. And what he would do is he would get on my case so bad when I would talk too much, to the point that he started putting me on a points quota, and he would start taking points away the more I talked. And at the end of the day, he would tell me how I did. And some days I did real good, and other days he would just shake his head. Well, Mr. Bales, if you're up there watching, I've been banking up my points all year, and I'm cashing them in today. So this is probably the last time I'm going to speak from this well. So I'm going to try to make it count. Is being a state representative a career, or is it a cause? For me, it has always been a cause, and it shaped my perspective and my approach to politics. I was inspired by something that Sarah Palin said in her 2008 VP nomination acceptance speech. She said, I don't remember much of what she said, but I do remember this one line. She said, I didn't get involved in politics to do the safe or easy things. And that rang true with me. You will learn a lot about people and their perspectives on the office and on this institution when you listen to their farewell speech. If this is a fun club, you'll hear it in the farewell. If this is a family, you'll hear it in their farewell. But if this is a battlefield, you're going to hear that in their farewell. During an earlier farewell this year, a phrase was quoted, heavy is the head that wears the crown. This room is a place where power is wielded. Power over our neighbors. We need to remember that. We need to think of it in those terms. Power over our neighbors. Power over their lives, over their families, over their livelihoods. The things that we do in here are not theoretical. They affect real people in tangible and significant ways. Furthermore, we're accountable to them for how we discharge the duties of our office. We're also accountable to God, who we swear our oath of office to with our hand on a Bible, to uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution of this state and of the United States. We're accountable to God. Whether the people hold us accountable or not, He will, trust me. We didn't invent this notion of government. Think about that. Mankind did not invent law. Law has been around for as long as mankind has existed. God created this world for us to live in, and with it, He gave us rules to follow. God created law. He created government. That means that we as lawmakers are accountable to Him. But ever since He created this earth, we've been in open rebellion against God and against His law. That is a fact of human nature, existence, and history. No matter who we are, God's going to judge each individual person according to their deeds and without partiality. We lawmakers are individuals. That means we will be judged by God for the laws that we make, even if our neighbors do not judge us for them. But nevertheless, it has been my observation since getting involved around about 2008, rather begrudgingly in politics, but it's been my observation ever since, that sadly, too often, the South Carolina legislature, speaking in toto of both chambers, the legislature thinks it's God. And it has been my cause since taking office in 2014 to show that the South Carolina legislature is not God. Saul Alinsky wrote in Rules for Radicals, "Make the enemy live up to his own book of rules. You can kill them with this because no one can possibly obey all of their own rules." The debauched man that he was, he would know. The truth is, not a single one of us can keep a law perfectly, and that even includes the laws that we make up for ourselves. That's just a fundamental aspect of our broken human natures, which we live according to, and it is the elementary principle of the world. There is good news, though, and that is that Jesus Christ kept his law perfectly for us, so that we do not have to experience the penalties and that we can receive a new nature. And Jesus came and he kept the law perfectly for us. He said, "Until heaven or earth passes, not even the smallest letter or punctuation mark will pass from his law until all is fulfilled." And he went on to say that unless your righteousness exceeds that of the politicians of his day, you will in no case enter the kingdom of heaven. In Jesus' day, politicians were slapping on robes and trappings of religion for political gain. And sadly, nothing has changed. Even here in South Carolina, it is good politics to be a God-fearing Christian. Opening invitations, hands-on Bibles, weekly Bible studies, church leadership, all of these are things that might please our voters. But trust me, God is not fooled by those things. And that is not what makes us acceptable to God. And it will not spare you from the justice of the Almighty. God sees and he knows. He invited every single one of us to make peace with the Prince of Peace while there's still time. If you will not do that, you should be warned, because the Bible says in Psalm 7, if one does not repent, he will sharpen his sword. Even now he has bent his bow and taken aim at you. It may be for some that you cannot hear this gospel until, like King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, you are driven from your throne of power. If that is the case, I hope for your sake that that day comes before it is too late, because your soul is more important than your political career. The mission for any true Christian in politics is laid out in Micah 6:8. It is to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with God. May we ever aspire to do this. Before I go, I do want to thank a few people here. One of the best things about this job has been the absolute professionalism of our staff. And for my part, I've particularly enjoyed working with the clerk's office, with legislative counsel, with staff on my committee, on the 3M committee, and my two legislative aides during the time that I've been here, Nita Montgomery and Catherine Porter. Thank you all for all that you have done for me and for our state. My very first act as representative-elect was to sit, and a few of you will remember this who were there, was to sit in defiance in a caucus meeting when everyone stood and clapped and applauded for then Speaker of the House, Bobby Harrell, when certain news was announced that supposedly all charges were being dropped. It was to my great relief that my very first official vote in this chamber was for a new Speaker of the House, Speaker Jay Lucas. I want to thank Speaker Jay Lucas for presiding over this body. It is a thankless job. Speaker Lucas, I have never once envied your job. I thank you for doing it, and please also know that I have never once hated you. I only wanted our citizens to get their gun rights back. That's all. I also want to thank Majority Leader Gary Slick Simmerl. I want to say thank you for kicking me out of the House Republican caucus, because you officially validated the fact that I'm not a swamp creature here in Columbia, so thank you for that. I want to thank Minority Leader Todd Rutherford, who challenged my freshman class during our orientation with the words, "This job will run you off your feet, and if it doesn't run you off your feet, you're not doing the job." Truer words were never spoken. You also told me to talk less, smile more, and eventually I listened. I thank you for challenging me to live up to my potential on so many occasions. And this next individual probably isn't here, but I also want to thank SCGOP Chairman Drew McKissick for openly opposing my reelection in 2020. Without your opposition, which was invaluable, I for sure would not have won reelection with 62% of the vote. So thank you for that. I want to thank my delegation for standing up here with me, probably with fear and trepidation, not knowing the next thing that's going to come out of my mouth. But in all seriousness, I truly appreciate them. I thank Ann for always having our backs and for being the adult supervision. Where are you? There you are. I want to thank one of my desk mates. For 4 years, I sat next to then Ways and Means Chairman Brian White. I considered it quite an honor and privilege to have that distinction, in spite of the fact that we had sharp and even bitter political differences when it came to the budget. But nevertheless, he was gentlemanly enough to have a professional relationship as desk mate and someone that I learned such a wealth of knowledge about procedure and budget process here. Thank you, Brian. And then, of course, Craig, my current desk mate, thank you for always being there to make me laugh when I wanted to cry. Now, some of you, and there's too many of you to name, but God has had a way of, through the years, sending some of you my way as angels of mercy. J.C. Watts famously said that character is doing the right thing when no one is looking. But we don't think about just how hard it can be to do the right thing when everyone is looking. Trust me, that is much harder. And there have been many bad days here where I left feeling beaten and defeated, and God sent one of you across my path to say an encouraging word. There's just too many of you here to mention every one. But I do want to mention Miss Leola Robinson. Who came up to me in the parking garage after a particularly bad day and just said, "Don't ever stop. Never stop." Coming from such a distinguished civil rights warrior as yourself, that meant everything. And then last but not least, I do want to thank my wife, Amanda. She's not here. She's at home sick. She wanted to be here. She and other family are watching the live stream. But she didn't just tolerate my political duties and responsibilities. She actually helped share them. And I thank you for that. That's all I've got. It's been an honor serving House District 8. By popular demand, here's the paper.
This time I won't pick it up.
Mr. Hill, we wish you well, sir. We're glad we're going to finally have a place in York County where we can get a title to a car. So we look forward to it. Thank you, sir.
My bag is behind you.
Excellent.
Or your bag's behind you.
Excellent. Here we go. That was very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Who are we looking at?
Thank you all. Thank you.
Oh.
Okay.
And, hang on.
Mr. Gagnon has a final presentation for Mr. Hill.
I am. All right.
He's from Abbeville.
Yeah. This is
Now
our
I'm scared.
this is our wrapping that we do in Abbeville. No, I shouldn't say that. As with any lovely guest we've had here at the State House, we do give parting gifts to my desk mate. Now you got to forgive me. The bag doesn't mean anything, and I guess he can use it at some point. You know, reduce, reuse, recycle. But it was the only one they had in the store, the whole store.
Get on with the gift.
All right. But everyone knows Jonathan really has a fondness. Oh, does it have a price tag? It does have a price tag. All right. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And, but we do have something for Jonathan. So every time he looks at it, he can remember his time here at the house. And it's a nice big red button. How about that? There we go. And,
It says easy now, though.
yeah. It should say no, but it says easy. That was easy. So,